What's up, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets, Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician Dane Martinez, and today I want to continue to talk about what we have seen from the Jets through 3 weeks and where that fits kind of in the overall process of turning this team around from what has been a laughingstock over the last decade into a potentially playoff team and hopefully someone we can be proud of, just like Aaron Glenn says. And remember, if you want to become a Jets Latest insider, click on that link in the description. You'll get access to exclusive content, all sorts of additional kind of perks, even including in fantasy football and sports betting. As you know, that is my wheelhouse and where I've been in the industry for a while. But let's get into it, okay? We've been talking about the Jets and kind of like on offense, how they don't throw the ball down the field, right? The penalties, the turnovers. But I want to flip that over to the defensive side of the field. You know, everybody's talking about that the effort is there, that the fight is there, and the fight may be there, but we haven't made big plays on defense. And all through the summer, I was talking about how that is part of the calling card of a Steve Wilks defense. Remember, I gave you stats about how Wilks' defenses consistently were in the top 10 in turnovers, interceptions, sacks, and that has not been the case, okay? We are actually -4 in the turnover margin. That is tied for third worst in the NFL, and that has been the key in a couple of games, right? The pick six against Tampa, the Gibson fumble against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Check this out, okay? We don't have a takeaway in 3 games so far, and what's more is we're not getting pressure on the quarterback to kind of force some of the action, to force some of those turnovers. The Jets' average time to pressure is 2.80 seconds. That is the third slowest in the National Football League. Our 21 pressures tied for the 5th lowest in the National Football League. Only 6 sacks through 3 games, and many of them came against Aaron Rodgers in week 1, right? Bottom 10 there. Opposing quarterbacks have a clean pocket over 3/4 of the time. That's part of what's, kind of leading to this. We talk about, we're picking on Brandon Stevens and other guys, but most quarterbacks in the NFL, when they have a clean pocket, they can stand and deliver, and they've been able to go downfield, 7.6 yards an attempt. Also in the bottom tier of the league. We've given up 5 passing touchdowns. We haven't gotten the pressure that I thought we were going to get. Will McDonald has 2, Quinton Williams has 1.5. I will say this, Jermaine Johnson, as you know, missed week 3, and he's going to be a key element of that pressure, but that is something that I thought was going to be a part of this defense. Remember, I told you we are going to be able to blitz more, get more pressure on the quarterback. That's what makes the big plays, right? The sack fumbles. That's what forces bad decisions from a quarterback. We are not putting pressure on the quarterback, forcing them into bad decisions and creating turnovers. And turnovers are one of the things Aaron Glenn correctly has been talking about, where we are -4 right now, truly at the bottom of the league. And in 2 of these games, I can directly point to turnovers that could have been the difference between winning and losing, right? The Xavier Gibson fumble in week 1, the pick 6 at the end of the first half last week against Tampa. So we need to be more disruptive on defense. Hopefully the return of Jermaine Johnson can bring that back week 4 against the Dolphins. And also, listen, Tua Tagovailoa is a statue back there, right? He does not have the mobility of a Josh Allen or even a Baker Mayfield. So if we can get pressure, that can be something that can really change the course of this in week 4 against Miami. I think maybe getting Jermaine Johnson back and getting more pressure could be a really big key and elixir to our ills in the turnover margin and ultimately getting a win against Miami. Next thing I want to talk about here is, there's been a lot of talk. You saw Aaron Glenn at the microphone talking about, oh, we're not the same old Jets. We're not the same old Jets. The thing is, maybe we're the same new Jets, right? Because there has been signs. I do think this is a new era. We talk about the accountability, the character building, what it feels like, reasons for optimism. But we see the same things. We see the penalties. We see the turnovers. We see some of the same lack of production. Let's see what Aaron Glenn had to say about this, reminding everybody, as I do here on Jets Latest, that this is going to take time. Let's see what he said. He goes, we're not the same team. These guys are going to fight. There's no give up in them. I hate that term. I don't really know what that term means. He's talking about same old Jets. But I know this. They're not the same old Jets. These guys are fighters. I love these guys. Listen, we know we have work to do. I said this before. This is not instant coffee. This is a team that's going to continue to keep stacking until we get to where we need to be, where we can consistently win these games. Again, I like where we are, but I know we have a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of games to go and play, and you can build on this. The one thing that I don't do, which I know the New York media tries to do, is focus on the negative parts of it. I'm not going to be that way. I'll let you guys deal with that. We'll look at the things we did well, and we will continue to push forward. And listen, Aaron Glenn has kind of been his style with the media, a little combative. I get it. But he's right on some of this. It's not instant coffee. We do have to keep on stacking and building. I think that has been the consistent message coming from the coaching staff, from leadership, from the players themselves, right? And it does look like a different team. I do like some of the fight. I like the way they responded in a back and forth game against Pittsburgh. I like the way they responded after being down 23-6 against Tampa, right? These are signs, and I will remind everybody. I have said it before. I make this analogy to the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell and that turnaround with Jared Goff. That first season, they started 0-10-1. They finished 3-13-1. And look at them now, legitimate NFC/Super Bowl contenders. It will take time. This is not instant coffee. These are some of the small things we have to point to when we can't point to wins just yet. The other thing I will say, and we've talked about this a lot, is the schedule makers did us no favors, right? 3 straight playoff teams out the gate, right? Tampa Bay week 3, their home opener. So their record, our opponents, a combined 8-1 so far. It gets easier, and I think it will get easier starting Monday night against Miami. But I keep on making excuses about the strength of schedule. We have to then look better against Miami and finish the job. Like Aaron Glenn's saying, we have to be able to win some of these kinds of games. The moral victories, the 2-point losses, are only going to get us like a little bit of the way. We have to turn some of them into wins. Hopefully we can against Miami on Monday night. The last thing I want to talk about, because we haven't talked about it yet so far here on Jets Latest, is Will McDonald's blocked field goal? Amazing. Ridiculous. The only reason we were in position to potentially win that game is because of a ridiculous play by Will McDonald, okay? I've been talking about how Will McDonald's going to take a leap this year. I referenced it earlier in the show. I thought he and Jermaine Johnson, when healthy, with a guy like Quentin Williams in the middle, can really start to add pressure. We just haven't had it so far, right? This season, because JJ has been out. But Will McDonald has been good. Listen to what he said about his blocked field goal. He goes, I felt like it was a legendary play for me. Probably the best play I've ever made in my NFL career. At the end of the day, I still helped out, was able to get my team in a good position to win. However, for me, I feel like I could have done a little more in the game to get our team in a better position. But we have that belief still, so down the stretch, we're gonna get wins. Again, the same kind of message, right? We still have the belief. We're not changing anything. We still have confidence in the way we're going to do. It's about the team. Will McDonald, as a team leader, saying that and putting some stats on it. Will McDonald does have 2 sacks. He does have 7 pressures so far in 3 games, right? So while it is not the, dominance I was hoping for. Listen, 2 sacks in 3 games. That's a pace to still get double-digit sacks yet again this year. I really do believe the key is going to be getting Jermaine Johnson to come back and add to that, along with Quentin Williams, who does have a sack and a half. He's on pace for also kind of that double-digit area, and he's got 10 pressures, So if we got all those guys back, we can hopefully make a statement against Tua, who is not mobile, and maybe start to get that first takeaway of the year. That turnover margin is going to be huge. Literally, if our turnover margin was different, we could be staring at 2-1 instead of 0-3. Keep an eye on that on Monday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. But that'll do it for this episode of Jets Latest. Thank you to everybody growing the channel. Like I say all the time, watch these videos, like these videos, subscribe to the channel. Tell a Jets fan friend to tell a Jets fan friend. Let's see what some of you Jets Latest crew, flight crew, are saying. Old Dave, day 1 Jets Latest represent, goes, AZ Thomas and Malachi Moore look like the real deal. With Cisco and Stevens playing poorly, this secondary is need to get the rookies reps. We will talk about that throughout the week. I've got some ideas on what could happen in the secondary, but old Dave, I agree with you. We got Charlie Fields 6260 saying, my disappointments are mainly, 1, consistently weak defense. I've talked about that. Haven't gotten pressure outside of Sauce. The coverage has been bad. 2, the O-line not up to expectations. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. How on the right side, Membu's been doing good. How Tipman has been good. Fashana with another penalty last week, so we'll see about that. And what it means for the run game, right? We want to be dominant physically up front. Brees Hall, after that great game in week 1, has not been able to get it going. And he goes number 3, the lack of wide receiver success. I hear you, and it's not sexy, but I thought Josh Reynolds was going to be a capable wide receiver too, and Josh Reynolds hasn't been here the last couple of weeks as he deals with his own injury. Hopefully we get him back week 4 against Miami. Then MG8812, who's been commenting, appreciate you becoming a Jets latest kind of regular to be sure. He says, and I like this, we're 0-3, but I'm preaching patience. MG8812 agrees, says, I'm never throwing in the towel. My Jets have my full support. All it takes is one win to turn things around. No one thought the Browns stood a chance against the Packers, and look what happened. Go Jets. Okay, I think that is the spirit, to be sure. Like I said, our opponents are combined 8-1 on the season so far. I hope we get on the horse and get that first W against Miami on Monday night. One thing I know, we will spend the rest of the week talking about what it looks like, talking about how we can go ahead and, fix some things, how we can go ahead and expose some things for the Miami Dolphins and hopefully get a division win in week 4. Remember also, if you want to hear more from me, spitting statistician Dane Martinez, I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show over on SiriusXM. I told you about, as a Jets latest insider, fantasy insights can be helpful. FTN Fantasy is a great website, rankings, waiver wire, stats hub, all sorts of great stuff to make you a better fantasy player and a better sports bettor. So you could always check me out over there as well. You could check me out on social media at Spittin' Speeds. But if you are locked into the green and white, I am here every single day giving you what you need here in what still, I think, will be the beginning of, as Aaron Glenn likes to say, the ship turning slow. It is not instant coffee. Stick with us. Hopefully we get win number 1 in Miami. We'll talk about it all week, but for this episode of Jets Latest, we out of here. Peace.